Everyone, Brian here. I haven't done a video for a while on this channel and I really want to apologize. A lot of you guys have been commenting and asking questions about the hair loss stuff and kind of where my hair's at. So I want to do that review now, and I want to apologize again. I had to do a lot of videos for another channel, totally unrelated to this stuff, and I kind of neglected this sort of original channel that started out as track and field related stuff, and then I started kind of blogging about the hair loss stuff. I know there's a lot of people on here. I feel like most of the subscribers coming in now are wanting updates on the hair loss stuff. So we're going to do that, and today we're going to do a couple things. So we're going to talk about the Hairmax Lasercomb again, and we're pretty much at the 3-year mark of when I've been using this. Been using other products as well, and we're going to talk about some of that. So I'm going to kind of give you my 3-year opinion on this device. Also, right here, and I haven't even opened this up yet, guys, we're doing an unboxing of the Lasergain. And a lot of people have asked about the Lasergain. Other people have asked about some of the other laser devices. If you don't know what the Lasergain is, it's basically sort of a non-commercial laser hair restoration or hair treatment device that somebody is selling out of the state of Florida. Basically, it's it's on eBay. It's lasergain.com as well, and that's another thing I want to tell you guys this, because I get this all the time on the channel. People commenting. I buy this stuff just like you guys would, or just like you guys do, or maybe you don't buy it. But I mean, I just got on eBay and I purchased this, and I actually bought 2 devices because that was cheaper. There was kind of a special, and it was actually cheaper to purchase on eBay than it was through lasergain.com, which was kind of weird. Usually people will give a discount if you go through their website because the fees aren't there and stuff like that. But anyway, this came out of Clearwater, Florida, and again, I haven't opened it. You guys can see this. I have not opened this. So we're going to be doing that. So let's back up a little bit, and you can kind of see how my hair is. I just want to grab the camera real quick, and I want to give you guys kind of a top view. I'm just sitting here in the corner. I wanted to do the video earlier, but the rain kind of kicked up with the monsoons, and it was sort of raining here in Arizona. Surprise, surprise. So I wasn't able to do it because it was thundering and all kinds of stuff, and then I just kind of in the corner here because the lighting's the best here. So you're seeing on the crown, you're seeing in the front, and all this stuff. Looks pretty decent, but in a lot of ways, I feel like I've lost ground. I've looked a lot of before and after pictures of me 3 years ago when I first kind of realized, like, oh man, I'm losing my hair, and I started freaking out, and I dropped $1,000 worth of, $1,000 on different hair loss products, and that's kind of where you guys first started my story, and people started subscribing to kind of see the reviews on that for the Lasercomb and that kind of thing. So let me grab the Lasercomb again, and again, it's been about 3 years since I started using this. As far as something that's good for travel, this is an extremely good device as far as kind of the packaging of it, and what you would be able to sort of fit in your suitcase or whatever. This has 12 of the lasers in there. And again, if you guys haven't tuned in before, and maybe I've read this off or said it in the comments, it says class 3R laser product, 655 nanometer, and then it says less than 5. It's a small M and big W, so I'm going to say milliwatt, but I'm not sure. But anyway, that's what that is. We'll see if the Lasergain is labeled. That individual or that company is claiming that the lasers in the Lasergain are the same as the lasers in a commercial device like this. Obviously, you're buying, personally, you're buying branding, you're buying, kind of the packaging and stuff like that. So we'll see that. As far as my hair overall, some of the things that I've sort of found out, I feel like I've lost a little ground. I know it may not seem like it. So clearly different lengths of hair when I'm taking pictures, different lighting, different cameras can be an issue. The reason I say I've lost is kind of just over time looking in mirrors, and just looking at it all the time as my hair grows from completely shaved to, let's say, like what it is right now, like a traditional knuckle cut. I would see it and I would sort of have to experience what I would have to go through to sort of make my hair maybe look like I was sort of doing creative combing, like in situations where I'd have gel. Back before that, I didn't feel like I had to do that as much, let's say 3 years ago. Now it's kind of became, and it's these spots, and we'll try to I'm going to try to just show you guys real quick that if I raise my hair up, some of these spots like this, and again, I'm not real sure what you guys are seeing right now, so we're going to have to just review the video. But up through here, if you just look at my hairline, it's there's like kind of disintegration or diffusion going on through here, like up into here even. So sometimes my hair will just like lay in a certain way, and especially if it's wet, you kind of feel like, I don't know, it lays in a certain way and you're like, oh man, this is getting bad, but then suddenly if you've washed it with another type of shampoo, or it's laying another way, it doesn't seem as much. There's even certain points where I've kind of felt like I kind of freaked out and I was like, man, is most of the hair that's growing, am I like combing it up from back here? And then this right here is getting like really thin. You kind of freak out at different times, but then there's other times where it's like, okay, let's say, and this is just me being a little bit sort of creative on this, but okay, if I'm like that, and then I'm just I do this like little comb over thing, so you can't see any kind of diffusion here, and then it's just like, oh yeah, no problem, I have a full head of hair, you can't notice anything. So, and I know there's a lot of people going through that, both male and female. As far as the statistics go, it seems about 3/4 of the people watching my videos are male, and there's 1/4 that are female. Females do deal with this too. So, and the feeling like you're having to be creative with sort of covering up spots isn't a good feeling, because you're thinking, okay, well, what happens in a couple years, and then there's just no way to be creative, and then you're like, that high school math teacher who was doing a comb over and it looked ridiculous kind of thing. So trying to prevent that. So one thing I want to say real quick though is I did notice, and I don't want to necessarily get too much into the shampoos, but I kind of talked about it in the last video. So the 2% ketylcoldazone, that's a tongue twister to me, but basically the Nizoral 2%, that was the ketylcoldazone, is the active ingredient. This was too harsh on my hair. It felt like that my hair follicle hurt, like maybe you wore a hat and your hair was laying wrong, and then if the hair like flopped over the other way or something, it kind of was like achy. It kind of felt painful. So it was like too harsh on my hair. And then I was using the 1% Nizoral, and a lot of people were mentioning the Regine Pure DR. So these are both, they're 1%, but the thing that kind of upsets me about the Regine Pure, just from a labeling standpoint, they don't say it's 1%. They just say it's in there. I don't like that. And I don't know what it is about Florida, but this Regine Pure DR, it says made in the USA, and it says, Hallandale Beach, Florida. It's like all this hair loss or all this hair related stuff like seems to be coming out of Florida. So the Hairmax Lasercomb, I think they're located in Boca Raton, Florida, or something like that. And then the Lasergain, you know, this got shipped to me from Clearwater, Florida. So I don't know what the deal with that is. What I noticed was I really didn't feel like the Regine Pure DR was working as well as the Nizoral. So this is actually a full bottle. This is an empty bottle. The Nizoral 1% is empty, but this is full. Bought 3 more of these to keep using this. And one of the other things, so when I ran out of, basically, and I'm just going to say this is a broad term, I'm going to say the ketoconazole shampoo. When I ran out, so my scalp would feel almost like it was sunburnt. I would look at it, it was real red. So the laser comb itself could not like sort of get that inflammation under control by itself. Once and for a couple months I was sort of out of the shampoo and I was sort of doing other things and really started to notice that irritation more and more. And then if you notice if your scalp is itching and it's tingly and it's itching, you need to watch out. That's, you know, I feel like that the ketoconazole has helped me a lot with that. And now that I've been back on this for about a month, then it's really that irritation has done a lot. So I was only off this for a couple months. So there's that. So let's go ahead. And this is one thing that I'm sure you guys are anxious to see, and I'm anxious to see. I mean, I've actually had this for like a week or more, and just been wanting to do the video of the unboxing. So let's go ahead. First time, let's cut into this. And I got, you know, again, I got 2 units because that was cheaper. So, looks like they packed in a priority bubble mailer. It's a great way to ship if you ship stuff. And then now, then there's 2 of these little small flat rate boxes, just, you know, to protect it more. So let's go ahead and cut this open. Let's go here. Feel like I'm under pressure opening this on camera because I would rather just not edit it. I'd rather just, you know, do it. Okay, so here's what we got. This is the device. And actually, as far as, this is interesting. So as far as packaging, you know, and it does look like the pictures, but, you know, in another respect, it's kind of different. So one of the main things I'm going to try to figure out is the spacing between where this rests on your head and where the laser should like sort of target. Is this already done for you so that if this is on your head, there's no need to raise it above your head a tiny bit to sort of perform the same function that these are doing. And I'm going to show that when these lasers are on, there's a focal point. If you pull this away, it's like the laser is dispersing in a different manner. And at the distance that these teeth are at, the laser is focused than where your scalp would be. And that's actually part of the Hairmax like patent, I guess, is that the teeth are a main thing as part of the patent. Because the lasers themselves are, I don't know, they're not really, I don't think they're really patentable at this point. They're sort of like readily available. And I forget the one website. There was an engineering website where you can just, you know, get a ton of these for like a not very expensive price. But obviously you'd have to be like an electrical engineer, you know, or you'd have to, that's kind of what we're trusting with the Lasergain, and that's another thing I want to say. So it says, congratulations on buying the Lasergain XL. Lasergain XL is the new 28 laser model, which comes with a 4-year warranty on all parts. That's pretty good. If they follow through, that's good. It has become the #1 hair laser product on eBay for a reason. It works. Regardless the warranty, there's no need to fill out any forms, as all your details are kept within our PayPal account indefinitely. If you have any queries, please feel free to contact us through eBay or support@lasergain.com, where we will answer all your questions within 24 hours. Instruction guide. The Lasergain XL is to be used 3 times a week for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, that's interesting. So 10 to 15 minutes in the areas needed, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday example, kind of thing. So the Hairmax Lasercomb, they're saying 8 minutes. Okay, we recommend washing your hair before with Nizoral Shampoo before drying, and use the laser treatment with Nizoral Shampoo. Okay, so when using the Lasergain, keep the device no further than 2 inches away from the scalp. Okay, that's one of the things that we need to know. Each laser is diffused wide light for better coverage, unlike a laser pointer, for instance. Our Lasergain XL light will diffuse once it hits the scalp, which gives more coverage than what may appear on the surface of your scalp. Once again, congratulations on your Lasergain XL purchase, and saying no to hair loss. Yeah, screw hair loss, dude. We don't have time for that. Seriously, I mean, and I'm not joking. I mean, you guys have been following this for like 3 years, and I'm sure people that, like, let's say they don't have a hair problem, they're just like, oh, like, why are you worried about that so much? Are you kidding me? Like, we don't want to be bald. I mean, get real. I mean, that takes away your youth. I mean, there's just no question, like, screw that. Then people say, oh, well, just shave your head. Well, I don't like to not have options. I always like to have options. So, yeah, that's great. Okay, shave your head, but then you see like the midday shadow of like a horseshoe, and then you got to shave it every day. You got to bick it to the skin and stuff. That's a lot of work. I would rather be able to have my hair if I want my hair and be able to spike it up and do all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, screw going bald. So let me open up this second one. Well, I tell you what, okay, we know we're going to get the same thing. It's, same exact thing. So let's go ahead and let's plug this in, and then let's look at where the light diffuses on these, or attempts to. And again, it's saying, because I thought maybe these, and I'm going to try to give you guys a closer look. Sorry if this stuff isn't showing up. I might have to do some editing here, but we'll see. So there's a power, there's an AC adapter in here. Let me get that. Ugh, it's kind of stuck. Okay. One thing I wish it did say, though, I wish it would say what the exact laser is. I'm interested to see that it's saying to do for like 10 or 15 minutes. So, we'll kind of see on that. We'll see what this. Alternating current, 100 to 220 volt, 240 volt. It's a 1 amp power supply, DC. Okay, so like direct current, 3.3 volts. I'm just kind of comparing on here, like real time, just to kind of see. Because, okay, that's one of the things I've heard online, that people, just in general, talk about these consumer level laser, hair devices that there's just not enough power going to them, and they act like that. I've seen a lot of things that say, is laser hair therapy effective? And people, I've seen stuff that says yes, it is, but then these consumer devices, they're not putting enough power to the lasers. I've seen that. I don't know if that's true though. Again, I'm not. I'm not an electrical engineer. I don't have a PhD in, laser related stuff. And then secondly, I mean, you'd have to almost entirely study, you know, the effects of hair, you know, hair restoration related stuff in regards to these. So let's go ahead and plug this in here. Okay. So I want to kind of put it up. The first time this thing's, I'm sure they tested it, but okay, let's put it on my head just to see. Okay, so what I want to do, and again, this thing doesn't beep like the Hairmax Lasercomb. If you remember, and you know, you heard like when I just turned it on a little bit ago, it beeps. Every beep, you're supposed to like move this thing a little bit. Well, you know, when this hits, this is gonna like, you know, disperse. So it's like, okay, am I supposed to hold it like this, or am I supposed to like, you know, hold it like maybe here? So let's do this. Let's take one of these boxes and let's see where the like focal point is. Let's do this. Yeah, this is intense. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do this in a way. I mean, you see, like the further you get away with this, you know, it's diffusing out. This is kind of interesting because when I look at the reflection, I almost can't even look at this stuff, and I probably shouldn't look at it. The way this light is, it almost looks like, you know, when you run like a video camera in a dark environment and there's like all these kind of dancing ants and you can see the speckling and stuff. It almost looks like that when you start to disperse it. When you look at it, it's like, I don't know. So, I mean, that right there seems really focused. It's hard for me to sort of like depict that for you guys. Okay, so let me turn this one off. Let me turn the Hairmax Lasercomb on again. And just kind of see sort of the disbursement on this. Okay, so this is interesting that, okay, now there, once you get down, and again, this is going to be hard for me to depict, when you get to the point where the teeth are, it seems to be in those smaller kind of dots, and you can see the division of them. But you pull away, it all combines. So let me pick up this again. I'm just gonna keep that thing running. Okay, so you can still see separation on lasers even at that point, just like you would if the teeth, but if you go down to this point, I mean, this is interesting, you know, it's obviously do have more lasers with this thing. We're trusting their ability to engineer this thing. How complicated is that? I don't know. One thing I might do, there's actually a back panel on this. I can take the screws out. And I might do that in a later video, just to kind of see like how it's wired. I don't want to break it though, and again, I'm not an electrical engineer, but see, if you took it, if you went way away, obviously it's dispersing. You go in, and then at that point you have individualized, you can see like each individual laser going a little further. Okay, so let's have those, you know, up against each other. Again, it's kind of hard, but you see the surface area difference clearly on what these devices. the lasers are turned, like this would be more like holding it like this. So the lasers are turned a little bit different because I can see they're turned 90 degrees to each other when I like hold it like this, as if this is the same positioning. I don't know if that makes sense. It's hard for you guys to see this, just where these lights are falling. Okay, so let's do this though. What I do is actually take a piece of paper. I'm gonna go like even closer. And what I'm doing, I'm just seeing like the way, I'm just wedging this in there and just looking at the focal points. It's hard to look at. It's really, really, really small focal point when you get lower than the teeth. Maybe this is a better way to depict it for you guys. And again, I'm not wanting this video to get too long, but then in the same token, you know, I'm kind of doing this real time. So you can see the diffusion on that. And you can see the diffusion on that. Okay, so I mean, I feel like it's kind of focusing at a similar point. Like that if I just put this laser, if I just put the Lasergain thing on my head at this point, see, it seems to be a little bit different. I mean, you see the size of those, so it's almost like, maybe like it being a little bit further. Maybe like that. And I'm holding that away about a centimeter. Okay, so let's do this. I'm just trying to think of my strategy. Let's look what this says again, just to make sure. And again, I'm gonna have to think up a way to, because I don't want to sit here like trying to hold this thing. Kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna have to rubber band this to my head. And also with the laser comb, it's like, okay, it does that beeping, and then you're moving it. So I'm assuming, it looks like the laser cap related stuff. You know, there's a couple different devices that are sort of a cap format where you're gonna put it on your head. Those switch the lasers up back and forth too, and I'm pretty sure the commercial devices do that too. So I don't think you'd want to hold this like in one spot, you know, for that amount of time. For 10 or 15 minutes, I don't think you'd want to have this in the exact same spot. That's just what I'm kind of gathering from this. Okay, so each laser is diffused, wide light for better coverage, unlike a laser pointer, for instance. Okay, let's see. When using the Lasergain, keep the device no further than 2 inches away from the scalp. But see, to me, it just seems like, well, it would make sense to just put it on your head like this, based on kind of the focal point of these lasers. But people are saying, you know, on there, like, yeah, I think it's working, you know, I feel like I'm getting results, you know, those kind of things. And I think people are happy about the price, you know, if you're trusting that these are the same exact lasers, let's say, that would, you know, be in something like this. And, you know, it's absolutely possible that it is, because I found these same lasers with the same specs that read out on this, you know, on this little sticker. I found them on, and I can't remember what that website was, but it was like an engineering website. It was like PK supplies or something like that, but there was all these drop down menus and you could get different lasers that were of different strengths and stuff like that. And there was also somebody mentioned this in the comments that there was a website that was something Macho Grande, or it was machogrande.com or something, and the guy was, kind of putting together these, like laser hair devices and taking the lasers and putting it like in a spaghetti strainer type thing, and then making caps like that. But the crazy thing about that one, which kind of gets me in regards to this device, is that he had like a large power supply. And so I'm just, and I could not resist, I was sitting here looking at this, and there was 2 screws on the back panel, and I kind of took this off. And you can't see a lot in there. So basically all it is you see like where you would plug in, I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. So it's like, where you would plug it in down here. And then those basically, it goes to the switch, obviously to break the circuit. And then those go, and that's soldered onto the board. And I don't know if he's having these, I'm saying he because, and I'm not even going to mention the name. It's from Clearwater, Florida, but there's a person's name on there. Could be a pseudonym or something like that. I don't know. So I don't know if this person, it looks like that, let's just pretend that they got the stuff and they're having this stuff put together in China, like that, they've got their solder machine, their solder machine, it's putting these little packages on. But this will give you a little bit better view of what I'm seeing here. And the reason I opened this up was just to see. I don't know a lot about circuits. I mean, I know I've had like kind of entry level, I had to take like entry level sort of, or like 200 level, electrical engineering type courses, where we work with breadboards and stuff like that. But this is, these packages, obviously a little more advanced. And what I really want to see is, I wanted to see the laser. I want to see maybe markings on the laser that I could kind of sort of determine, what exactly is going on here. So I don't know how they're dealing with the sort of the power situation. Maybe, just this little, just the little AC adapters, doing the conversion. But that just doesn't seem, how sometimes you have like a computer, like a laptop, like for instance, computer equipment runs in direct current. And so you're taking alternating current from the wall, because alternating current can like travel further through the power lines and stuff like that. And so they, it's easier to transport the alternating current to your home. But then at that point, for like electronics and stuff like that, it runs on direct current. So then at that point you have to convert it. And so when you have a laptop, you have like a very large, sort of like, what do I want to say? Like, it's like an AC adapter, so that you can convert it to DC power and then plug it in. And I don't know all what like a, like a large package, where you plug it into a laptop does. Laptops are a little bit weird because I don't know if all the conversion from AC to direct current, so alternating current to direct current, takes place in like that large, thing in your plug-in, or not. But so this is a really small plug-in, but I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. You look at like a cell phone charger, and the package is kind of small, and is all the conversion happening there? It acts like this thing is. So I don't see anything. What I'm trying to get at is I don't see anything in here that's like some kind of thing that's like a alternating current to direct current converter in here. It's literally the switch, and then this board with the lasers mounted on the board. And we're trusting this individual or this company that that they engineered this properly, and that the circuit's done properly, and that these are the lasers that are of the same wavelength, on the same wavelengths and stuff like that as they would be in this. You know, that's what I feel. Okay, with this, I'm gonna give this product a B, like grade wise, because okay, it's got 12 lasers. It is portable. You know, obviously the lithium ion battery, you know, would be, you know, that's one thing that's portable and that you don't have to have it plugged in. But a lot of times when I'm using this, I'm sitting there like at the computer anyway. So it's like, well, if this thing's plugged into the wall and there's like there's a small, you know, power wire like this, does that really make that big of a difference? And to me, for the most part, it doesn't. Now there's been situations like you saw one of my earlier videos where I was actually using this on like a beach in the Virgin Islands, you know, and so it's like, okay, it was portable. I didn't have an AC inverter, you know, in the car or anything like that, and the battery life was still good from the last time I charged it and stuff like that. The battery has lasted 3 years. You know, it'll charge up and down, no problem. I get several uses out of this, you know, without recharging it, at least 5 or 6. And that seemed to be kind of similar to what it was doing 3 years ago. So the battery is like held up extremely well. It's obviously packaged nice, all those things. And then I think that, you know, they've paid for the FDA clearance, you know, kind of thing. And they did the patent, you know, sort of on the teeth and that kind of thing. This, and the weird thing, and this video went on for a really long time, so I'm just thinking out loud with this stuff and gonna go with it. Hopefully you guys are interested in this stuff like I am. Because again, I don't want to go bald. I don't think you guys do either. I don't know if this is the solution. I don't know if this is the solution. I don't know if this is the solution. It's just me literally buying this stuff. Nobody's sending this stuff to me to review. I'm just in this fight exactly like you guys or girls. But one thing I did want to mention on this is if you see, and I looked at this and there's glass over there. I'm assuming the laser is deeper. This whole thing isn't the laser. It's not like, oh, these lasers, I don't think, this my perception. I don't think that these lasers are like bigger, but I started to worry because it almost seems like there's like a bubble, and I can't tell if that glass is like flat across there, or if it's almost like a fisheye, you know, kind of like when you look through, you know, a peephole. Or you look at like the GoPro cameras, you know, the fisheye lens. If it's almost like a little fisheye lens to make the point, you know, that the laser hits your scalp, make it look bigger. And we were kind of seeing that a little bit on the paper, that it seemed like it was leaving a bigger footprint by the time it hit. And I don't know how that's going to change the dynamic. I don't know, you know, really how many real world, you know, studies have done, you know, with this device. So again, we're trusting the engineering. You know, we're kind of taking a shot in the dark. You know, could these be just LEDs and not be really like a true laser? It's possible. Because I really don't think that's the case, because as cheap as I was seeing these actual lasers with the wavelength and stuff like that, I don't think that trying to dupe everybody and putting LEDs in here and then passing them off as lasers, I really would hope somebody wouldn't do that, but we're just gonna have to trust them, and we're gonna see. So again, I've got 2 of these, so we're looking at a much larger footprint. I'm going to use it for the 10 to 15 minutes versus, the 8 minutes that you'll use the laser comb 3 times a week.